So tonight we were over at my grandma's house for my aunt's birthday party since it was yesterday. Her birthday, we met over at my grandma's. Typical Sunday night thing, but birthday version. No big deal. I knew I wasn't going to stay for the whole thing because I knew at some point conversations were going to go the way they always go. Now Buddha's going to start flapping. Conversations are going to go as they normally go, and I was going to just leave. As I do. It's one of my, I can protect my energy by exiting the situation that's no longer favorable. So, yeah. And I was told it was supposed to start at 5. And so we went over there at 5. Well, it was closer to like 10 after. No big deal. It's the family thing, so it's not like anybody's really in a time crunch of any sort or anything. But we get there, and my grandma's sitting in her chair. Nobody else is there, and like she's watching something political. So I went to the other room and sat down in the rocking chair in the other room by myself. And it was a while before any of the rest of them showed up. Honestly, I was like tempted to bow out before anybody else even got there, just because it was like clearly political drivel on the TV in the one room, and that just skews everything. So eventually, I think when my mom's youngest sister got there with her family, my mom and my grandma went into the kitchen where I was at. It was like kitchen dining room kind of. The kitchen's really ridiculously small, so technically it's probably the dining room, but it all blends together. So my mom and my grandma went in there, and I think my grandma said something about, "Oh, she is here," or something. I don't know. Like I'd stuck my head in, but I wasn't there long, or in the other room for very long. As soon as I saw what it was, it's like, yeah, I'm not listening to this. And I did have my headphones. I had them charged up to make sure I did not have to listen to anything stupid. And yeah, so then everybody else got there. We did the cake and ice cream thing really quick. I don't want your ball. I'm sitting here. She's like, "You're home now. We already played outside. It doesn't matter." She wasn't done. So yeah. Not right now, Gidge. Now that I'm sitting with my chair tipped back, she just slides the ball so it rolls up and hits me in the hip. And then she just stares at me. And she'll start at me here shortly. But yeah. So I had like a tarot reading or something on while I was avoiding the nonsense in the other room. And once everybody else got in there, and it's like, well, I couldn't really hear that anymore, so I paused the video and visited a little bit with my family. Part of them anyway. One uncle tried to get me, well, he didn't try. I think Gracie almost let it slip that she's going on the cruise with her mom and dad. She wasn't originally going to go. She was going to be staying with my mom and dad and I when they were gone. But then with the way everything was going with my grandpa back in the fall, and you know how my mom was doing with all that, they ended up deciding to take Gracie with them. And I was relieved, honestly, because I'm already going to be watching their dogs the entire time they're gone, and it's already a big enough job to make sure my parents are minding their stuff. Yeah, like, whatever. It's just, I've talked about them being in that mindset of, oh, well, now you're of the age where it's your job to take care of all our stupid shit now. So we don't have to do all the things we should otherwise have to. Just realized one set of my lights isn't on. I want them on. There. Not that. It's over there, so it doesn't make a big difference, but it's not a dark spot over there now. Well, there's one, but I don't want to climb under the table, so I can plug that set in. So yeah. So in dealing with everything else that week and a half, I was relieved when they said they were just going to take Gracie with them. She was dying to go anyway, ever since they decided that they were going to go, because they're going with my sister-in-law's brother and his fiance, wife, girlfriend, I don't know, their connection, whatever. But they were all going together, so yeah. So they added Gracie and everything's fine. Except it has not been relayed to anybody, or my parents don't know anything about it. Nobody else on that side of the family knows about it, just because I feel like that's their responsibility to pass that information along and not mine, and I'm staying out of it. So, yeah. But no, I'm especially glad that that's the situation, that they're taking her with them, because my aunt and uncle that live next door are also going to be out of town for part of that, so there's like a 4.5-5 day overlap on when they will all be gone. And so the corgi will probably be staying over here with us, at least a good chunk of time. Probably have to take her back to her house. Should be easier to feed over there. Although, just because she's on different stuff, and my dogs would be all about running her out of her food to eat it, and she would be all about eating their food anyway. So, yeah, I figure when it's time for her to have her dinner, I'm going to have to take care of the cats and feed them every day too, so when I go over there, I figure I'll just take her with me and we'll hang out with the cats for a little bit, and then she can eat over there, and I mean, she'll probably also eat over here at some point, but whatever. But since there's like a 4.5 day overlap, I'm really glad that they're taking the kid too, because that would be, it's already going to be tiring, but that would be way more complicated than necessary. But yeah, so I'm over there sitting on the chair, and I'd been watching this video, and I paused it because my uncle started talking to me. Or, well, it was mainly because everybody else came in the room at that point. But then my uncle started talking to me, and he was like, what do you say? Is everyone going on the trip or something? Gracie almost slipped to them not too long ago. They took her Christmas present over to my brother's house and gave it to them there, and she almost slipped, and my brother said she did not, but came really close. But then today, my uncle was like, oh, are they all going or something? And I was like, well, at least two. And I left it at that. It's like, I'm not trying to get in the middle of that conversation at all. As it is, it's annoying enough because my brother is just trying to avoid it completely. He did say earlier today that he should probably have that conversation this week. It's like, yeah, that should probably happen sooner than later, because it's going to keep coming up. Basically, I was verifying the dates that they were going to be gone, and it's a good thing I did, because I had that they were getting back on the 24th, but apparently it's by the 26th, probably on the 25th. So it's like there's at least a couple days where it's like I should still be at least on alert in case I gotta go over there still or whatever. With any luck, it'll be dry and not super muddy or whatever, because that would not be fun. Because it'll be my 3. Then, I mean, my mom's dog probably try to stay away from the rest of them. But then I'll have the Corgi over here, and the Basset and Schnoodle. I'll probably mostly go over there, but also bring them to my aunt's house to have them run in the yard some too. But that'll be a whole thing in and of itself too, because the Schnoodle is terrified of everything. Last time I took her over there a bunch, she like got really nervous and was shaking the whole time. It's like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, it'd be exciting. My computer started making this weird noise last night, and it made me a little nervous because my mom's talking about how she's pretty sure hers is getting ready to go out, and it's doing the same thing with the fan. So when she said hers was doing something the other day, I took her the fan that I had that I'd never taken out of the box so she could use it at the table. And so she's been using it pretty regularly. And then yesterday, mine starts doing the thing. It's like, shit, ain't got time for that. But I figure maybe that just means it's time to start like working on figuring out what I want in my next computer. And so maybe I can manifest something into my space. Because, I mean, the one I got is kind of old, but I got it when I was working at the group home because they had there was a program that you could get a laptop through the company, and then they would take some money out of every paycheck until it was paid off. So it was a good deal, and I was working extra all the time anyway, so it got paid off pretty quickly. But I haven't worked there since 2016, and I think it was more like 2013 when I got it. So it's kind of old. And I got the blue screen of death at one point, and my friend's got a computer business, and he rebuilt it for me. And I think that was in like 2017-ish or 2018. So it's had some time. And so it's like, with any luck, I can find something else before anything happens to that one, because, well, if nothing else, I need to manifest the income to make it happen as well. Which, since I'm getting ready to have these things overlapping and all that fun stuff, there'll be a little bit there. And then it's about time for the tax bullshit, figure that shit out. So I think I'll be able to make it work. But I should figure out what I want first, so that I, can have an idea when the funds are available or whatever. And hopefully there'll be some kind of good deal on something. It's like I don't really need it for a whole lot of stuff. Like the biggest thing I do with it now is I use Word documents on there, and Spotify, and that's, I put all my pictures and my videos from my phone there, and then upload the videos to YouTube on my computer. I should probably figure out something with if there's something for pictures, since I take so many of them, and maybe I can do something with them. I don't know. I don't know what I would want to do with any of them, but I know I have a lot and I enjoy them. So, beyond storage, figure out something. I don't know. It's just kind of an out here idea that I haven't really put a whole lot of time and effort into just yet, because I just started doing it last night. I made it a point to make sure I shut my computer off last night, because I don't always remember to do that. So that probably helped a little bit. Rearranged my desk a little bit a couple nights ago, and it's still not done. I got a little bit done, and then I was like, then I wandered off and was like ready to write a little bit, and then never got back to. I mean, it's cluttered. Obviously, I have cards that I drew some cards from this Sacred Rebels deck yesterday, and they're still out on my keyboard shelf because I'm writing them in my journal and hadn't got that done. I almost got through the first card, but that was it. But they all seemed really relevant with what's going on, so I wanted to make sure to write them down. I pulled others that didn't seem as important to write down, but I feel like I'm starting to get a better feel for the message that's coming through when, like, okay, there's this the Tree of Life Oracle deck by David Wells that, like, it was standing out earlier, and it's like that card or that deck has a message for me, so I pulled some cards out of it, and yeah, I read, I think, what the guidebook said for like the first 3 or so. And like the big thing, like the bottom 4 that I pulled off, because they all seemed really relevant. There's like strength, the element of fire, the element of earth, and the element of air. And it's like when I was just looking at them, like as I pulled them off, it's like these are all part of this, especially since they all came together, but then fire, earth, and air were all one after the other. But then it made me think, because okay, like the cards or the keywords on the strength card, I think we're talking about I don't know. The thing that came to mind was just personal power and finding the strengths, doing the thing that you're getting better at, because this is not as traumatic as it used to be. But I took it as, fire has to do with passion, so getting stronger in the things that I'm passionate about and finding passion in doing, and then grounding that in, and then communicating it, sharing it, so that's like, because as I've been doing this more, I have my little I guess my feisty moments at the end or toward the end of the videos, middle to the end, where it starts getting into the stuff that I actually have particular ideas about, I guess, especially pertaining to religion and politics and that kind of bullshit. The stuff that I mentioned something to my brother the other day about how my videos were going that way, and he's like, oh, be careful with religion and politics. It's like, dude, I'm here to piss people off. I've always known that. Now I'm just trying to embrace it as the big thing, because I've always known that, sorry, it's kind of, hold on. All right, got a little warm, had to lose a sweatshirt. Yeah, but I've always known that kind of here to say things that at some level will probably piss a lot of people off. And I think I spent so much of my time trying to avoid that, because everything in my life was telling me that was a bad idea, particularly family and all that stuff, and then there too, this particular conversation that I had with my brother, the first thing he said is, be careful with that. It's like, yeah, like I know it's going to piss some people off, but I'm finally at a point where that doesn't intimidate me like it used to. I've spent far too long trying to fall onto the lines, and that didn't do anything useful except for get me run over, as well as a bunch of people I cared about run over. So Don't need to do that. So if I say things that are going to piss people off, so be it. um, and I think this whole thing's just my big opportunity to really make more sense of the greater reasonings for what it is that like pisses me off about politics and all that shit. And the fact that it literally isn't for anybody's good except for the system that keeps us all in servitude to it. So yeah, all about bringing that bullshit to an end. So hey. And okay, I got up this morning and I had all this time, and I was thinking this is a good day to get ready, go over to walk the dogs, and then I could do a video over there. And then I got sidetracked. I talked on here the other day about I saw a thing on Instagram where the guy was talking about transmuting energies. And I didn't know what his name was, but he had a thing that came up today, an ad on there or something. It was the spiritual activator, I think, and Oliver Nino. And since that thing, like today it was a different one, like that one came up too, but there was a different one that came up, and I clicked on the little link, and it was talking about this webinar. It's like, what was it? The 8 psychic senses you might have and how they work. It's like, all right, well, let's see what all that's about, right? It's free. Who cares? So I end up, what I was going to do was I was going to come in here this morning, and before I turn or open the curtains or anything, I was just going to spend some time writing. And I started to do that. Then I got sidetracked, and then this other thing popped up for this webinar. And then it was like, maybe I should watch that, just see what it's about. Because every now and then it's like, I feel like if you are open to it, the universe will use anyone and anything to communicate what you need to know at any given moment. You just have to be open to receiving it as an idea from the universe, in divine direction. But it can literally come from anybody. And so when I saw this, it's like, yeah, I could probably check that out. It might be interesting. Probably heard what it's going to be about before somewhere, but why not? And there's always the possibility maybe you learn something new, or maybe they pose it in something in a way that hits you differently than the other ways you've heard it in the past. So I decided to register for this thing, and then there were 3 of them that came up. There was one that was today at 11, and there was one that's at 7 o'clock this evening, which is in like 12 minutes. And I thought about doing that one, and then I figured since the family thing was over there, since it was a birthday, I figured I probably should plan to be over there a little bit more, if everybody behaved, but they don't, so. And then there's one tomorrow morning. And I started to click on that one, and then it's like, no. It's like, what am I doing now? Why couldn't I do that now? And rather than giving myself time to worry about if I have anything else that's going to get in the way of watching the webinar, right? And so I ended up doing that right after I came in here. Like, I tweaked a couple things on the thing that I'd started writing, and then it was like, okay, sidetracked with this other thing now. So then I watched this webinar, and it ended up being just under 2 hours, I think, when I shut it off anyway. He wasn't completely done talking, but it's like I got what I needed out of it. I felt so. Yeah, so I moved beyond that. And then went and got dressed and ready for the day and everything. By the time I finally got over to walk the dogs, it was after 3. And that kind of shot the idea in the butt of doing a video after I walked the dogs. So instead of that, we went to, I thought about doing a video while I walked them. They weren't going to have that. Like, I kept trying to get my phone ready and mess with it, and then somebody'd start pulling, and then we'd end up in the mud a couple of times, and it's just like, since we've only had 2 walks since it's been nice again here lately, I think we still have plenty of energy to burn. Where we were, when we were walking regularly before it got rainy and snowy and cold, they weren't pulling near as bad. And today it was like, there's stuff to sniff, let us sniff. It's like, okay, fine, we're just gonna do that. And yeah, so the video thing wasn't working out. And then I was like, okay, well, I knew I wanted to do a video today, and I knew my aunt's birthday party was at 5, so I was like, how am I going to fit this in, right? And I figured I'd probably leave there kind of early, but I wasn't in a rush either. It was one of those just kind of tentatively putting it out there to the universe. I'll figure something out sometime this evening. I will do a video. So to follow through on my end of that, here I am. Buddha. Kind of annoying. I had thought about locking the dogs out and letting the birds fly around, but I wasn't ready to. I didn't want to turn all the lights back on since it was kind of dark already. So that's why I didn't do that. But obviously he's chattery now, so I'm talking, so he's talking as well. Yeah. Yeah, but then, it was just that same negative flare with the family on, my grandma getting her news information from YouTube, and she doesn't click on the stuff that has anything to do with actual news, but just like little things people will come up with to get your attention, and then, oh, well, so-and-so supposedly died. Well, no, they probably didn't. If you didn't fact check it elsewhere, there's a good chance somebody just said that to try to get you to click on the link or whatever. She's been hacked a few times that way. And yeah, it was starting in the direction of more political bullshit, but making fun of the other side, and I was just like, yep, nope. And at first, I just said, you're like, my mom, I think, said, you can't get your information off of YouTube or whatever. I don't remember what I said, something contributing to that idea. And everybody was like, yeah, not so much. And then she went into something else, and then the middle sister went to fact check something, and she was like, oh, well, maybe this has a little more truth to it than usual. And it just got to a point where I was like, yeah, and I'm gone. And it was kind of aggravating because, I stood up and got my coat on and walked out the door and then didn't even make it off the deck. And it's like, damn it, I left my cup. So I had to go back in to get my cup. And nobody said anything about me leaving at that point. My aunt just handed me my cup, and then I walked out. It was kind of funny because, okay, I've talked on here before about how that song, Apage Satana, the Rotting Christ, works well for turning off bullshit stuff. And I've used it a couple times. Once I had it actually playing out loud on my phone when my dad had some political bullshit on TV, and he shut it off. The next time I had my headphones on, but it was the same kind of stuff. So I turned it on again, and then like he was laying on the floor in front of the fireplace, and when I turned it on, it was like within a couple minutes he'd gotten up, turned the TV off, and gone into the other room. And then today, when I turned it on over there, I had my headphones on and I was listening to it, but then I was like, yeah, this time I'm going to leave, because this is like the situation, that perfect environment for the negative crap that they want to hang on to all the time. So we'll just let that be their space, right? But yeah, that's the one that means begone Satan or whatever. So works for me. I just took the song with me, and it helps very much to clear the bad energy, I have found. And it's like, I might dance along to it, not necessarily. Sometimes I absolutely will, but didn't have to today. Today it was just take it and leave. So we left, and then I was glad I left when I got outside and realized Eva was hanging out outside waiting on me, because it's, it's like 30 degrees out there, and she's got short hair. So I don't know if she has the double coat technically. She's got thick hair, but it's like really short. But I still don't want her standing out there in the cold for a long time. And she's very devoted. And especially if she knows that I'm over there, and since it's Sunday night and Pepper got to go too, she knew where we were going, so she was sitting out there waiting on me. It's like, yeah, okay. Glad I left so she didn't have to stay outside. Although we did have to play ball a few times before, once I got back. So before it got dark all the way, yeah. But I don't know. I love that song so much. It's like just helps to get rid of the bad energy and not have it stick as much as it normally does, or normally tries to. And it's funny because I'm sure I'll hear later when my mom gets back, Grandma thinks you're mad at her, and she can think that, I don't care, whatever. She also knows anytime she talks about politics or anything like that, she has shut them off when I've been in the room before, or when I've been in the house before, because she knows I won't stick around for it. But, today wasn't one of those days. So, she knows what it is. And so if she chooses to leave it on, I'm not saying she can't. That's her business. That's her house. She wants to do whatever the fuck she wants, she can. But at the same time, I don't have to stay there for it. So, and that I like. So I tweaked my bear frame a little bit. This is my one that I won the contest with, my picture. And I had these little wooden things to paint. And I thought, well, I wasn't going to paint this frame, but then I did paint the frame. Because, I don't know, because I was looking at it, and the color that it was kind of matched the color of the water. And it's like, oh, that's too much of that color. And granted, it's not a bad color, the watercolor. But yeah, I decided to put the little thankful on there. See, I got that one. And I got this little grateful thing as well that I painted, because I wanted to have them somewhere in my space so then I could look at it and remember to actively go about thanking the universe for things. It's like, okay, when I see that, it's a reminder to think of something that I'm grateful for. And I put it on this picture frame because that's my picture that won that contest for the zoo. And essentially, it's changing things for me, right? Because, I did that video not that long ago about how I found out I won the contest, and then within a half an hour, it's like my family was trying to bring it down to shit, and then the next day, after I had this really bad day, kind connected with that after winning this contest that I should have been excited about. Sorry, get it in the head with my foot. Then the next day I went to that class, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to share this information with people that I think will be happy for me. And I feel like in choosing to share it despite everything that had happened the day before, it felt like reclaiming something for myself. You know, like when the drumline thing happened and then my mom made that comment about I deserve this as much as you do, then it was like I just kind of threw that away. And it's like, yeah, it was something cool that I was a part of, but then what I said to her in my head was, I guess you deserve it, or I guess you needed this more than I did, or something like that. And I just let it go and, let everybody go with it, because it's like, okay, clearly it wasn't my thing, right? So, even though it was a pretty damn important piece to that puzzle too, yeah, it's like, rather than allowing myself to just throw something away, it's like this time I chose to not allow myself to do that. This time I'm going to appreciate the fact that I still won this contest. There's like the first big contest that I put anything in for. See, there's this vocal media page that I put some things I'd written in. But when I was thinking about that, it's like, I tried on what I was submitting, but at the same time, I was also working from a space where I was essentially blocked because I felt like I couldn't win or wouldn't win. It's like, I'm not that good at this thing. So, I just took it as, yeah, I'll put in for this contest. But like the whole time I wasn't believing that anything would come of it. And, with the picture, here's like, I sent them 3 of my pictures, and this was the one that won. It wasn't even my favorite. But, it was just one of those things. It's like, I'm not going to do that this time. It's like, I took those pictures. It's like, yes, my mom paid for the zoo membership that got me there, and it was probably her idea that we went that day. Everything had to fall into place just right for that, because it was Zubu, and like there were so many days that they were doing that, and then we had to coordinate it on a day she was out of school, and then a day that, me, my mom, and my aunt were able to do it. So, yeah. And it's like, that's kind of been my thing anyway. I've always been the one taking pictures throughout the day. I'm the one that's going to post them on Facebook or wherever else. It's just, and it's funny because I've thought several times when I've been at the zoo, it's like, I take pictures every time I'm here. Okay, for example, we see the bears not every single time, but we've seen them a few times. I've gotten some good pictures. Do I really need to take pictures every single time? But it's like, you never know how something's going to go, and I enjoy taking the pictures, so why wouldn't I? And then it just came up that there was this contest, and all I thought I was going to win was the possibility of, my bear being the centerfold or whatever for the zoo magazine newsletter thing, whatever it is. I don't know how all that works out. But I was really excited when I found out about it, and, when I sent the paperwork giving the zoo permission to use my picture, I was like, awesome. It's like, I've never won anything before, and I was really excited about that. And she's like, wonderful. So apparently there is a prize package, and I will get that like in March or something. I don't know what all that's going to include other than a copy of the thing with my picture in it, but I know they can use my picture on merch or whatever else, so who knows. But yeah, it's like something that worked out well for me, that I wasn't attached to it. You know, when I submitted the pictures in the contest, it was simply the idea of maybe somebody else will enjoy my pictures that I've enjoyed as well, right? And like that, I liked that picture really well, and it was one that I had printed off at like CVS or whatever, and you know, I got my elephants up there and my tigress, you know, but that those made 8x10s. Yeah, but it's like I wasn't thinking there was any kind of big prize or anything to it. It was just, okay, maybe somebody else would enjoy this picture as well, you know. And then when there was the moment of the possibility, well, when there's the moment everything went to shit afterwards, it's like, you know, I got all that bad energy out of my system that day. That was something. Okay, that guy that in that webinar, Oliver Nino, there was one thing he was talking about. He was giving a little bit about his backstory, and he talked about a moment that he had where he like allowed his vibration to drop for like a half an hour, and then in that time, like everybody was suddenly tracking him down and you know, having, you know, all dumping all their shit on him. And it's like, yep, that's kind of what that day was. Like everything felt like it went to shit that day. And I, you know, sent my brother a message like, I gotta wash this shit out of my system. This is not cool at all. And it's like, it's just all hell breaks loose. You know, I showed up at the family thing. So then, or on a random day, I go over to my grandma's house just because I hadn't been there in a minute. And that was enough where, you know, it kind of brings your energy down enough to suddenly, you know, I'm getting calls about going over there to help pick her up because she fell because she didn't put the freaking footstool down before she tried to stand up at 83 years old. It's like, yeah, you knew something was going to happen. You just thought I was also going to be available. So that was like the big thing. And it's like, that's why I don't do a whole lot of going over there, because it's enough of a drop that it seems like certain individuals will, or have the idea of, she's back, you know, and we got to try to bring her back in and get her locked back down or whatever. And yeah, that's why I don't go over there very much. That's why when I do, I usually leave pretty early in the whole thing. Oh yeah. You know, and I knew my brother wasn't going to be there. Of course, they don't always go to those anyway. The birthdays are the only ones they usually try to come to. And I think everything's been jacked up with the family enough that I don't feel like they've... Last encounter with my grandma, she was doing her passive-aggressive bullshit, and after my grandfather had been buried, you know, said in front of Gracie that, oh, sorry, I didn't go to Gracie's dance recital. It was Donnie and my anniversary, and Donnie's more important. It's like, first off, anniversary is in April, and that was in December. Secondly, that's a whole lot of shit, but also she wasn't even invited to the dance recital in the first place because we knew she wouldn't go. But yeah, it was just intentionally just all these stupid things thrown together just to try to make them feel bad because they skipped his funeral. And it's like, honestly, I feel like I'm glad for them that they didn't go to that. And honestly, I feel disconnected enough that if I have somewhere else to be whenever hers does come around, I can't say that I'm going to go out of my way to go do it, because this petty bullshit is just ridiculous. Ugh. Yeah. It's just so annoying. But yeah, I should maybe go ahead and since this conversation on this video has gone this way, maybe I'll go ahead and take a shower and salt myself to make sure this is out of my system, because ugh. It's icky. And it's like I didn't feel bad when I was leaving or anything. I haven't felt bad the entire time I've been over here, but just it's a little bit talking about it. It's like, gross. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Oh yeah, but I feel like since I put the little thankful thing on there, I feel like that just kind of invokes the feeling, the reminder of like this whole thing that's started because of this picture that I honestly I thought about not even sending that one. You know, I was really set on that tigress up there and, you know, the elephants over there because that one looked like a poster to me. But then it was the bear that won. So, like, gave it options for letting the universe decide which one's going to work out for me. But yeah, I did enjoy the picture because he kind of looks like he's having a little bit of an existential crisis. The other bear reminded me of Tez a lot. He had his feet crossed and just the way he was sitting there. It's super cute. It could have won too, but I really liked that one. Honestly, it makes me think of like the cartoons where you have the, okay, like Pinky and the Brain. You got the one that's all serious and then you got the dingy one. And yeah, I thought the bear looked like the serious one, so... And the other one did look kind of dingy. And he kind of reminded me of Taz, and Taz is kind of... I love Taz to death, but he has some dingy moments. He has this thing that he's doing here lately where he really likes to climb up into the snowdrifts. Like, it was very difficult to keep him out of the snowdrifts over at the school when we were walking. And he climbs, like, okay, so there's this big mound of snow from the parking lot that's probably like 3 feet high or something. And so he climbs up in it a few steps so all of his feet are in the snow and the top half is higher than the bottom half, and he just squats right there as he's like up this snowdrift. It's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? 7:17 on the clock. But I just noticed, so yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He just kept doing that today. It's like, all right, well, whatever. My aunt asked if we were walking over at the cemetery, and it's like, I don't think their roads are clear enough for that yet. They went over there, and her husband got the car stuck when they were there. So it's like, yeah, I said, I saw one day that it didn't appear like they were plowing the roads or anything. It's like, I'm not going through that. I don't want to get stuck. Did I talk about... I don't know if I talked about it. So the other day, I did a video over at the park, and I was in a great mood, and, you know, I enjoyed doing the video that day. And, you know, I signed off in a good mood and everything, and then I went to leave, and I was stuck on the ice and couldn't go anywhere. I don't know if I talked about that afterwards. Like, I started to in one video, but I think I deleted that one because it was only like 17 minutes, and it's like, I got other shit I want to do. I wanted to skate before that, so I don't think I ever shared that story. But I got stuck on the ice, and like I had backed into a spot, and it had like a little dip. So my tires were conveniently stuck in the dip. It's like, oh, cool. But then I was like, all right, so trying to, you know, I was thinking, it's like, okay, since I don't want to rely on my parents for everything, you know, I was raised to be codependent, but I'm trying to break out of that cycle, right? So I was like, okay, so I don't want to contact them. So what can I do in this situation to get unstuck? And the thought that popped into my head was, there are people working here today. And so then I like Googled the park and got the office number, and I called them, and they were still open since it was like 3:30 or something. They were open till 5. And the girl answered the phone, and I was like, So this is kind of silly. I told her where I was at, and I said, I'm stuck. Is there any way somebody could come, help me get my car unstuck? And so she sent a guy with a truck over, and he's like, oh, so you just got to make it. It was like 2 feet to the actual pavement, so I could get moving again. And he's like, yeah. He said, I'll give you a push. And she said, that should be easy right there. It's like, all right. So I had the window down, and he pushed, and I hit the accelerator, and off we went. And it was fabulous. Yeah, but it was this whole thing, because it's like, I am not contacting them. What would I do if I was anywhere else and that contacting them wasn't even an option, right? And it was kind of funny because I sent my brother and Ben a message. We have this little chat conversation on Messenger that's got the 3 of us in it. And it was mainly because Ben had some things that he wanted to send to both of us. So, he saw us always tagging each other in like this really weird shit. And he was into the same weird stuff. So he started a group with us, a little conversation, and would send us like random links. And he does still. But I was like, hey, I have them both in this one spot. I don't need to text them separately. Normally I just text them separately. But I told him what was going on. And Ben was like, oh shit, I'm at work, otherwise I'd come help you. It's like, it's all right. It's like, I'll figure this out. It's like, actually, I think I'd already got or I'd already called the office at that point. And it's like, I'm just waiting on the guy to come help me out, and I think it'll be fine. I said, the only thing that sucks, I said, there's a porta potty over here, and I kind of have to pee. I said, but the porta potty's not any good. And I sent him a picture of it, and like the porta potty got blown over in the wind or something. It's like, hope that was empty, because you. So yeah. But now it's like, I just have this random picture of a porta potty blown over in the snow, and it's like, I feel like I'm keeping this because I'm going to just randomly send it to these 2. I will have some kind of occasion and be like, you know what, this is a prime time for a knocked over porta potty. I sent it to my brother, and I don't remember what I said, and he said he responded with, it looks like it tried to run away or something. I don't know. But it's like, yeah. So, I mean, that thing can write jokes in and of itself, just the knocked over porta potty. So, yeah. But that was the whole thing. I don't know. Slow conversation day, I guess. Yeah, I might just call it here. Because I don't really know what else to talk about, and I know everybody else will be home soon, and might as well have this over with before they show back up, because then if I get the old, are you mad at your grandma or whatever, it's like, nah, still not mad at her, just don't want to be don't want to be around the negativity. And that's not just her, that's just, she just lives over there. It's like, I keep to myself at home, because I know my parents are going to be watching politics, or my dad will be watching religion or something, and I can just hang out in my room and not get annoyed by either of it. Watch my own stuff, listen to my own stuff, and write, do videos, all that fun stuff. Of course, they don't know about that yet, so. But I think I'm at a space where the idea of them finding out bothers me less. Yeah, I did that one video a while back where I talked about it came around to like talking about being bothered about the idea of them finding out, and then I just was kind of talking my way through it, and it's like, but at some point they're going to know about it, and then they're going to know I've been doing this for a while, and yeah, it might piss them off, but that's kind of irrelevant because it's serving its purpose for me. It's helping me to get this shit out of my system and move beyond it, and choose things to be grateful for rather than to let them suck the life out of things. So, and I think that's kind of the point of what I'm doing here, honestly, is just showing my journey. And even making sense of the things that, like the stuff that really makes me feel any kind of way, like the religion and politics piece, and making sense of those things as well, so I get clarity for myself. So this whole talking thing, it's talking is giving me clarity as much as anything, just on how I feel about things, how I want to see things change, and try to figure out what I can do to contribute to making some kind of change happen. And it's been easy on the stuff that's just dealing with me. Like all my heavy bullshit that I was carrying around was just a matter of talking my way through it and getting it out of my system. And then releasing it and being done. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Keep just eyeballing me. Yeah, I don't have anything else that I can think of at the moment, so I guess I'll wrap this up for the day. And as always, I appreciate you. Until the next time, see ya.